YouTube vinyl community, all Jardine fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we're here today to talk about Al Jardine's debut solo album, A Postcard from California, released through Friday Music. This particular version, 2018, early 2019, on vinyl. This album originally came out in 2010 on CD, and has been released in a couple different formats since then with different either bonus tracks or different versions of Ways of Love. But to have it on vinyl for the first time is awesome. So when this came out, this also had a record store day release, and I was convinced I wasn't going to find it, and of course I did not find it on record store day. And then a couple months ago, I was just poking around my favorite local shop and happened to see this in the bins, and I was like, oh cool. There was no sticker on the front or anything that said anything about a possible record store release, or record store day rather. So I figured it might just be the original thing, normal standard vinyl. So I picked it up and I brought it back home, opened it up, and sure enough, it was the blue vinyl. It's got the postcard inside, his signature's on. So it's the record store day one. I was stoked to discover that, so very, very cool. Now, my history with this thing, I've known about this since it came out in 2010. I never picked it up. I never bought the CD. I never listened to it. It seems kind of elusive to find. I never came across it in any store I went to. It was kind of hard to discover. So when I found out it was coming out in vinyl, I was like, all right, now's my chance. Now I gotta pick it up. Plus, it's just cool to have a big, nice copy of it. So can't go wrong with that. You also might notice I'm in a completely different setup right now. My usual rig is not working. I have a staff of people running around trying to figure out what's going on, and they're not much help. It's mostly me. So let's talk about Al's album here. And I have to say right off the bat, I love this thing. I really, truly do. It's a fantastic album. It tells a story. It's got a nice narrative to it. I think it's split up really well and sequenced really well. I really couldn't find anything bad to say about this thing. I enjoyed the whole thing. I thought the singing was fantastic. The production, the playing, everything was top notch. Plus you get some Beach Boys songs on here with the Beach Boys. So very cool. And at the time when this thing came out in 2010 originally, there hadn't been any sort of group activity Beach Boys stuff in years. So to have a couple of songs on here that feature the group, pretty amazing. But I really enjoyed this thing. So the album opens up with A Postcard from California. The title track here is basically about his dad moving to California to to work on blueprints and stuff, and then send the family out there and kind of just figure out the story from there. So it's like their life experience, growing up in California, or moving to California and then growing up there, and the people you meet and becoming a big rock star. So I really enjoy this song a lot. I think it's got a really nice spirit. The vibe to it is really comfortable. The instrumentation on this thing really just takes you somewhere else. It's a really laid back, kind of warm spirited, full of his personality track, which I think works really, really well. Glenn Campbell's on it too. And I have to admit, this album is loaded with guest stars. Everyone from the Beach Boys to Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Well, there's no Nash, but Crosby, Stills, and Young. Guys from America. I mean, this thing, Flea is on this thing. This thing's loaded. It's very cool. But the song itself has a very welcoming vibe, which kind of is what a postcard is intended to do. When you send a postcard to somebody, you're basically saying, hey, what's up? Here's a little piece of me to say I'm thinking about you. That's kind of what this song feels like. It's just a pleasant song. The background vocals are really nice. I think the string arrangements against the guitars is really effective, and it's really kind of, tugs at your heartstrings a little bit there. It's got kind of that homey quality to it, which I think works really, really well. And with that said, I just really enjoyed this whole song. Great opening track, great way to kind of present the album. California Feeling, the classic Beach Boys track, man. At this point had not been released by anybody else except for Brian, who put it out on his Classics CD in 2002 or 2003 when that came out. But Al's version is fantastic. It's stripped down. It's just basically him and a piano with some great vocals behind him, and it really gets to the core of the song. It doesn't have anything else on top of it. I love the Beach Boys version. The unreleased version that was kind of compiled together for the Made in California box set. But this version has like an old Western movie kind of feel to it. It's really direct, it's honest, it's pure, and it just paints an amazing picture of love for his home state, and how he feels about California. And it just really takes you on a journey of like earnestness, which I think is really cool, and I like having this version on here. His versions of the Beach Boys tracks on here are fantastic. So that's great. Every song on side one, by the way, has waves in between each song, the sound of waves happening, which I think is really cool. So the whole side one kind of links up to a big California kind of feel. The whole album does, but very cool. Looking down the coast, I love the steady rhythm on this thing. The clean guitars are fantastic. The music on this one is interesting because it shifts on the different parts of the songs. There's moments where he's singing about, like, basically discovering America, like, you know, someone coming over for the first time and, you know, seeing what this place is all about and kind of making it your own. You know, it tells the story of discovering land, which, you know, if you've ever moved somewhere, you're basically discovering a whole new area. You're kind of like an explorer, figuring out where to go, what to do, what's what. So really cool storytelling on this track, but I like the musical vibe on here. Then you get Don't Fight the Sea. Holy moly, it's the Beach Boys. There's Carl. There's Carl's voice, man. There's Brian in the background. You can hear Mike pretty well. There's Bruce a little bit. It's very, very cool to hear the Beach Boys on here. The music itself does a great job of evoking that, like, lost at sea at night kind of feeling. The dynamics there are fantastic. This was a single in 1976 for Terry Jacks, and then the Beach Boys originally attempted it in 1976 for 15 Big Ones, but kind of left it, and it just didn't do anything else ever again after that. Bits and pieces over time were recorded for it. And I think most recently at that point had been in the 90s for that proposed album that never got made. But it's a mature song, it's well performed, all the guys are on the top of their game. It really captures a moment because you're like, wow, it's the Beach Boys. And it's kind of amazing to hear them do such a powerful, direct song. Really effective, and it's a beautiful piece of music that's on this album that really makes picking up this album even more worth it, let alone the rest of the good songs, but that one in particular is something special. Tide Pool Interlude is Alec Baldwin, basically doing a Holland-esque, California Saga-esque poetry piece, and it's so cool. It's very interesting to hear his voice on this thing and lead up to the campfire scene and then lead up into California Saga. So it's like a couple of pieces that blend into one, and they redo the Holland track California Saga, and it's pretty faithful to the original. There isn't like too much that's different on it. It's just a bit of an updated kind of take on it, which I think is pretty cool, and it works really well to add the story to this album, you know, between the Postcard from California, or, you know, song, and then you know, Looking Down the Coast, California Feeling, Don't Fight the Sea, like this whole theme of California, discovering California, living there, making it your own. This whole overarching vibe is pretty set up throughout this thing. So I think it's fitting to have this on here. And then you get to side two, which kind of opens it up a little bit more, and you get Help Me Rhonda, which when I first saw the track list, I was like, are we really going to get Help Me Rhonda again? Then I heard it. This version of Help Me Rhonda is fantastic. Hands down, I was really surprised by how much I love this version. It's completely stripped back. It's almost like a country version. It just takes the core elements of the song and just kind of, like, I hate to use the phrase dumb it down, but it takes the bare DNA of the track and makes that stand out instead of having the big production of it. Having a simple production, I think, lets the song breathe a little bit more and allows the song to be expandable and has harmonica in just the right places to give it just a little bit of a touch of a country and western tune. It's loose, it's a good jam, it's a lot of fun to listen to, and it's like hearing the song in a whole new way for the first time ever, because the song can breathe in a whole different light. And Flea plays bass on it, which I think is hilarious, but absolutely fantastic version. Steve Miller helps out with vocals on this thing too. Great vocal job. It really is like hearing the song for the first time all over again, so I'm really happy that that version exists on here. San Simeon, this is a song I could have easily seen on like the MIU album or the LA album. It harkens back that late 70s feel for me of that era Beach Boys. It's kind of a chill song. It's just got a nice little light vibe to it. Nothing too deep, but it's just kind of nice to show off the vocal arrangements and, you know, how impressive they are. So it's nice to have that moment to really appreciate the voices. Then you get Drivin'. This song's great. It's just a fun little rocker. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing, you know, deep to read into it. It's literally a song about driving and how much fun that is. When you got a nice car, you like to just go out and cruise. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Plus Brian sings on it. They're both having a good time. Texaco, you're killing me, man. It's just a lot of fun, and it's great because it leads right into Honking Down the Highway. So that couldn't have been timed any better. And Brian's on this one too. And this is a total highlight on the album for me. And this version of Honking Down the Highway, again, fantastic. They took the original song and basically just beefed it up a little more to make it more current. I love the huge, big orchestral Queen-like vocals, as they call it, at the end. I like the arrangements a little bit changed here and there in parts. Brian's vocals are great. Fantastic song to really get into. I absolutely adore this version. I think it's a lot of fun. California Dreamin'. This is a pretty low-key version as well. It's very, I'm getting lots of like influence from how they would have perceived Smiley Smile or something, where it's like, let's not focus so heavily on big productions. Let's just take the core elements of a song and kind of work with that. So I'm getting kind of that feeling here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think the organ is nice on here, the bongos, the acoustic guitar solo, David Crosby on this one too. Just a nice little song. We've all heard California Dreamin' a million times, but kind of cool to have it on here. And then last song on here, And I Always Will. Really nice piano ballad. It's nice to hear Al open up vocally a little bit more and kind of shake off the maybe some apprehension he has and just letting it loose sometimes. Because sometimes his voice can be a little, not like he's trying to hide something, but it's nice to hear him just kind of like, just relax and just let it out, you know? I like the strings on here a lot. It's certainly that old-timey kind of feel. I can see this being really well done on a Brian Wilson album, actually. But it's nice to hear Al do it and open up and just sing a nice little love song. So can't go wrong with that. Here's the back cover. Nice little map of the area. So it's kind of blurry to read like some of the text. I'm not sure if that was done intentionally or what the deal was, but in here, really nice gatefold. You got a postcard from Al a couple of times. Just basically explaining how the album came to be, you know, over the years that it took to make it, the people that are on it. It's a good picture of him with Matt and Brian at the top there. So that's really nice. And let me show you the inside here, where it gets really cool. So here's the record itself, and I'm actually kind of glad that I'm in a different room with better lighting. I'm just using natural lighting today, so it's pretty darn blue. You can't really see through it, but it looks really nice. And the label itself, the word stereo on there reminds me of the old Capitol labels. So very cool to see that. And let me show you the postcard. I mean, this is the part that totally flipped my wig. So let's pull that out here. It's in there. It's in there. Okay, full. Yeah, this is very cool. So it's a cover, you know, a postcard of the cover. And on the back, look at that. Al's signature. How cool is that? So, very stoked to have that. I'm really excited. So now I have a couple of signed Beach Boys-esque things in my collection. And yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a really great listen. You know, there's great moments of emotion, storytelling, excellent musicianship. The guest spots on here, the list just goes on. I mean, the list is huge on this thing. So it's a great collaborative effort, and it's nice that Al's got an album out with his own name on it to show that he's just as talented as the other guys are. He can do it himself his own way, which I really like to see that. I think Al's a super talented guy. And it's nice that he's got his friends and his family on here too to really help him, you know, see his efforts and see his dream come true. But nice to have it on vinyl, nice to have his signature there. I think that's so cool, and nice blue record is always nice. Blue like the ocean, don't bite the sea. So that's it. This thing is easily an 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's fantastic. The covers on here I think are great, and the originals on here are just a heck of a lot of fun to listen to as well, and it's just a great listen. So that's it. My name is Giggens. This has been Al Jardine, a postcard from California. And let me know what you guys think of this thing too. I'm excited to hear your thoughts and your thoughts on this new setup. Maybe I'll do more in here. I kind of like the lighting here. You can see one of my other setups behind me and some collage posters I made over the years. And there's Weezer and there's Paul and, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.